Hello and welcome to the Blacksmith Spotlight series, the YouTube series where I, Gage, pick a certain blacksmith that we carry here at the shop, introducing them to you and telling you why they are so awesome. In today's episode, we're talking about Teruyasu Fujiwara. If you've done any research into Japanese knives, you may have come across a blacksmith by the name of Fujiwara-san. You may have also heard of one of his most famous lines of knives being the Denka series. Now, I can't say for sure if he was the first, but he was certainly amongst one of the first Japanese blacksmiths to laminate a piece of stainless steel to a piece of carbon steel in a process called forge welding or sanmai. Previous to this, only iron was used to accomplish this, and what the stainless did was make it much easier to maintain a carbon steel knife, which has had a huge impact on the popularity of Japanese knives around the world, in my opinion. So Fujiwara-san is certainly a pioneer in the resurgence of Japanese bladesmithing in the past couple of decades, and I'm sure has inspired many different blacksmiths. And we can certainly say that he has at least had an impact on some of them because stainless clad knives are super popular these days. Now, his Denka series is probably one of the most iconic lines of Japanese knives available to this day. People have varying opinions on them, and I'll be honest, I resisted bringing them in for a long time for reasons we'll touch on later, but it's really hard to deny their awesomeness. Fujiwara-san is a master at heat treating his knives. He uses Aogami Super for his Denka series, which is a great steel in and of itself. But then when it's heat treated to around 64, 65, you're getting an amazing steel with incredible edge retention. The edge geometry on Fujiwara-san's knives is really top notch as well. So these knives perform at a really high level. They are also super beautiful in my opinion. If you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know how much I love the more rustic sort of finishes. The Kurouchi finish combined with the Tsushima finish on these guys is right up my alley. I think they look so cool. And then of course we cannot ignore the little finger rest that you'll find on the Denka series. Now, it may not look like a huge difference, but it certainly makes the knife feel absolutely incredible in the hand. If you're using this pinch grip like so, Japanese knives typically feel like an extension of your hand already, but then when you've got this little finger rest in here, it feels like a double, even more extension of your hand. It just like really fits in there nice. They're balanced really nicely, sort of forward towards the blade a little bit more. They've got these really nice magnolia octagonal shaped handles on them with buffalo horn ferrule. No gaps or spaces or anything here. And they're sealed up quite nicely where the tang and handle meet. So yeah, beautiful knives. Now, I said I resisted bringing these in a little bit at the beginning of my video, and the reason for that is because of the, shall we say, less than desirable fit and finish that is often found on Fujiwara-san's knives. Now, if you ever pick up one of these knives, you should be aware that the handle will likely not be straight, and there will likely be some issues with the secondary edge or the cutting edge of your knife. And what I mean by that is there's going to be sort of like little inconsistencies in the edge. There may be some like little scratch marks from the sharpening process. You may also find some little scratch marks on the actual Kurouchi finish of the blade as well. Totally normal on Fujiwara-san's knives, and I haven't come across one that doesn't have these sort of little inconsistencies. So, you know, when we're bringing things into the shop, it's hard for us to bring in knives where we have to kind of pick through them and sacrifice some as heavily discounted for our scratch and dent sale. But I feel like to deny our customers these awesome knives would be a disservice to you guys. And I'm happy to deal with a couple returns and exchanges and stuff like that because I really feel like these are super awesome knives and certainly worth the price if you're willing to overlook some minor issues that are purely aesthetic and not going to contribute to the performance of the knife. So these are handcrafted knives, right? So it's to be expected that they're going to have some minor imperfections. Furthermore, Fujiwara-san is doing all of his own forge welding, whereas most blacksmiths will purchase pre-laminated steel and then forge it into a knife. So there is a little bit of extra steps involved, of course, in that. And, you know, they're typically sold out most places. When you're looking for a Denka, they can be a little bit difficult to find. So they're fantastic knives and people really love them. But there's going to be some little issues with them. Some of the shapes that we have in stock at the moment are not limited to what you see here, but we've got a 120 millimeter Petty, 150 mil Gyuto, 210 millimeter Gyuto, these super awesome 210 millimeter Nashiji Chinese cleavers, and then 3 shapes, or should I say 3 sizes of Yanagiba, those being the 210, which actually came in at 190, the 240, which actually comes in at 230, and the 300, which actually comes in at 280 millimeters. Also not featured here, but in stock on our website and in store is the 195 millimeter Nakiri, my personal favorite, and the 180 millimeter Bunka. So it can be kind of hard to describe why these knives are so awesome, as you can probably tell from my long-winded description. But there's guys out there that have like these enormous collections of knives, custom knives made by different blacksmiths from all over the place. And for whatever reason, a lot of people just seem to come back to the Denka as being like their go-to knife. With all of their problems, there's just this untangible magic to the Denka series, which is why it is so highly regarded amongst knife enthusiasts today. I certainly want one. I think everyone, well, Ian hasn't expressed a desire for one, but
Ian wants one.
he does. Okay, so Ian wants one. Like these guys, the boys are after these Chinese cleavers as well. Yeah, there's just something about them. It's honestly, it's like, I don't know. It's not, I'm trying to make you guys aware of what you're getting yourself into. Like this Gyuto is actually pretty darn nice in terms of its fit and finish. But you know, they're not all gonna be as great as this one. So that's a great point that Jake just made there. If you are new to the Japanese knife world and you're not an experienced sharpener, the Denka series might not be the greatest way to go, unless of course you have access to one of our shops and we can maintain it for you. But chances are, like we've alluded to, there's going to be some issues with your knife. Maybe that's an inconsistent bevel or inconsistent cutting edge or whatever the problem may be. You might end up having to do a little bit of work to it. But once you've, you know, put a little elbow grease into it, it's probably going to become like your best knife. The heat treat on them is amazing. They're actually quite robust considering how high a Rockwell hardness they get. They're not super prone to chipping. So with all of that said, the Denka series and knives in general from Fujiwara-san, we are super excited to have into the shop. They are awesome, awesome knives, a little bit on the rustic side, but certainly worth the price, and there's a reason why they're so popular and highly regarded. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit rambly today, but if you liked it, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel for more knife-related content, and until the next video, stay sharp. Jake, just cleave a finger off every time I can't say research. Research.